Hey, what's going on, guys? Ben Brewster here at triathletics.com. This video is about how to voodoo wrap the knee and how to pair that with some knee health exercises that you can do in your pre-lifting or pre-throwing warm-up, especially if you're dealing with knee pain, knee tendonitis, anything like that. So definitely check with your coach if this is something that's severe enough that you haven't already gotten checked out. Definitely check with your coach on that. But these are still some things that can help with basically just lubricating the joint, helping the knee feel better before you begin to load it in a variety of exercises. So we're going to go through how to basically just floss it out of load, how to do what are called VMO bounces or narrow stance VMO squats, and then how to do an ATG lunge or deep lunge with the Voodoo band. All of these are kind of in a progression, so you can stick with what feels most comfortable and most pain-free for you, but I'm just going to show you the whole progression. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need obviously is a Voodoo band. If you don't have a Voodoo band, pick one up on Amazon for about 10-15 bucks. When I'm wrapping the knee, I like to actually unwind the band first. I feel like this actually makes it a little bit easier to wrap. So all we're going to do, I like to get on a knee or elevate my foot on a box, but all we're going to do is start at the patellar tendon, so start right here at this kind of notch underneath the kneecap, and from here you're just going to get it started. So get a good amount of tension on the band. What I'm trying to do is 80 to 90% tightness, so I'm wrapping it pretty tight. But we're basically just going to go 50% overlap each wrap. I'll make sure to get you a close-up of this. 50% overlap each wrap. Don't wrap over the patella itself. So once you get just up to the base of the patella, skip it and come just above the patella. That's going to give it room to clear. Otherwise, you're going to be putting a ton of compression down through the patella and putting pressure on the cartilage underneath it. Same thing, we're going to keep going until we run out of room on the band. You can actually use two Voodoo bands if you want. If you want even more pressure, you can do a whole Voodoo band underneath and a whole Voodoo band above the patella. But for the sake of this is going to work fine. If both your knees are giving you issues, obviously wrap both knees. You can do both at the same time as you do some of the exercises. So that's just the basic way how to wrap your knee. Now let's go ahead and show you the exercises. All right, so the first one is just a supported squat. This is if you have pain loading the knee and you can't do any of the other progressions. All you're going to do is basically grab onto something for support, take a shoulder width stance, and we're basically just flossing our way, controlling our way into the bottom of a squat, a deep squat, and we're taking that knee through a full range of motion. So there's very little load on the knee right now because I'm supporting my weight here. It's basically just controlling your way down into a full range of motion. So if your knee is particularly pissed off or aggravated, you should still be able to do that. If you can't do that, what you can do instead is sit on the edge of a box and basically just do simple leg extensions. Either way, the point of the Voodoo wrap is to basically floss the fascial layers. It's to hydrate the tissue and make sure that the fascia is moving. That's why your knee feels warmer, it feels more warmed up after you've actually done these Voodoo wrap exercises. So for a simple just mobilization, you can do that, but I would recommend pairing it with the next two progressions if you can, if that's not giving you any discomfort. So the first exercise is called the VMO bounces. These are from the Athletic Truth Group, Ben Patrick. I would definitely go check them out if you're having very chronic knee issues. They work with a ton of basketball players and athletes who've had knee surgeries or chronic knee pain. So a lot of good stuff from them. But the VMO bounces, basically you're going to control yourself down into a narrow stance deep squat. For this purpose, you're going to elevate your heels, so you don't have to be perfectly in an ATG squat. So come up on your toes, on the balls of your feet. Make sure that your toes are angling out a little bit to clear the way so that your knees and your toes are in line. What you don't want is your toes straight ahead and your knees out, and now you create a conflict at the tibia and at the ankle. So let the knees point out slightly in line with the toes. And from here, you're basically going to think about contracting the VMO, so contracting this teardrop quad muscle. VMO extremely relevant in knee health and in both terminal knee extension and also at this length and range as well. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be shooting for a set of 50. If you can build up to 100 reps, but all it looks like is basically little bounces like this. So they're controlled bounces from the VMO. That's where you're going to feel it. VMO and then ball of the foot. Those are kind of the two places to focus on. Torso tall and then use something for balance. But you're basically just flossing that knee, pumping a ton of blood through it, and strengthening the VMO all at once. So the first time you do this, you might get 30, 40, maybe 50 reps. The goal is to build your way up to 100 reps, and you would just do that for one set before your training or your throwing session. As you get fatigued and you can't control it nearly as well, you can add a little bit of a bounce off the hamstrings and calves. That's okay. But But again, once your form starts to totally deteriorate, cut the set. Again, the point of this is just pump a ton of blood through the knee, strengthen the VMO, and floss the fascia with the Voodoo band all in one. All right, and the last progression is an ATG lunge. This can be in your actual lifting routine too for guys who have knee pain, but it's also good as a warm-up with the Voodoo band. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna pick a box that's an appropriate height where you can get to the bottom of that lunge while keeping your back foot down, getting full ankle dorsiflexion, and keeping your torso up. So for me, this box is about the right height. What you'll find is that if you try to do this just on the ground, generally you'll start to cave over, or you won't have the mobility in that back hip to really get into the deep position without torquing through your low back. So you're typically going to want to elevate on something like a 4 to an 8-inch box. For some of you who are a little bit more immobile in your ankles or through your T-spine or through your hips, you might need to be on like a 12-inch box. But all it is, it's the same idea of flossing the knee. We're just adding a unilateral component to it, and you can add a little bit more resistance to this. So it's just an inline lunge, chest up the whole time, and you're just controlling yourself down into the lunge using the VMO. So you're going to have contact between the hamstrings and the calves. You should feel a stretch through the ankle. Tight calf, tight ankle. Tight ankles are a contributing factor to knee pain. So we're working that. We're also working the fascia. We're working everything all in one here, strengthening the VMO. So you're just going to floss your way through an HEG lunge like this. So in this video, the point isn't to load this super heavy. We will do a separate video as far as putting this in your actual training sessions where you can load this with a barbell or with dumbbells at your sides. But for the sake of this, it's just flossing your knee in all these different progressions and positions. Hopefully that helps feel a little bit more limber, a little bit more mobile. Definitely check with your coach if you're still having issues.